What is good, everybody? Juliana Page here. I am really excited to share this word with you on today. I'm actually going to pull up a definition. Okay, so OMG. So today's word is about convergence. It's probably not a word that you use in your day-to-day vocabulary, but it is a strong word. I like to think of different bodies of water that seem disconnected, just merging and coming together. But some different words for this could mean, let me pull it up for you. Loading. Okay. So, convergence. Okay. So different words for convergence, just so, if anyone else is a word nerd out there, you can appreciate this. All right, so it is meeting. What else? That one wasn't helpful. One sec. Meeting, merging, union, coming together, group, assembling. Super good. Let me see if I just do, sometimes if you just do a shorter version of the word, you get more. Let's try this. All right, so combining, encountering, coinciding, joining, uniting. So coming together essentially is a catchphrase for you when you think about this. So hopefully that is helpful, but why is this relevant and why now? So I've been noticing in my own life, and for the record, I didn't always operate this way, which is why I believe that it's so vital now. But I've been noticing that many pieces that have been seemingly disconnected, whether that is career related, relationship related, ministry related, family related, whatever it might be, they seem to be on maybe different levels, so to speak. But now it's making sense. It makes sense why you were positioned here and why this was happening when it didn't seem like it was going the way you thought it should look. Or it makes sense why you're getting exposed to this new information. Or it makes sense why you're feeling this urgency and why you've been preparing for the past 10 years. And now you're getting so clear on what it is that you're actually here to steward next, or how to transition into that next level, right? It's all coming together. So this has been happening in my own life, and I'm noticing that it's accelerated. So I will have something on my heart in quiet time with God. Maybe I've journaled about it. I prayed about it. I get on a call and it's just said in a statement. I'm like, whoa. Or then I get on a training and it's the very topic that we go through. Or I get on another call and it's something that's reinforced. Or I listen to, some of the prophetic teaching that I follow, and they lay it out to a T. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you, which is so good, because when you've been stewarding something for a minute and all you've been coming up against is resistance and challenges and all sorts of things that don't seem to be according to plan, if you are not rooted and grounded, if you do not have this deep conviction, it makes it nearly impossible to navigate times like this, where distractions can be constant, when there's many things vying for your attention, when people just say whatever they think without regard for who you are, when it's not safe to share your heart and your vision and your plans with other people. Not everybody can carry that. Not everybody's meant to steward that or build that with you. So it's really important to have deep conviction. And it's also important to align with people that have the same heart as you, so that they can reinforce this messaging in the moments where you're tempted to forget, in the moments where you're tempted to shrink back, in the moments where you're tempted to reconsider the position you knew so strongly just a few minutes before you had that hater come and say something to you, or you got this opinion from a family member, or something else happened. You need your connection with God to be strong. And you need to be able to receive your own revelation so that you can steward your mission and do it well and boldly and courageously without wavering and without concern for whether people like you or not, or whether they agree with it or not, because it's not their mission at the end of the day. God isn't speaking to their heart about what God is speaking to your heart about. Okay, so how is this relevant for you? Well, I invite you to think of this word convergence. Has there been something that you've been pressing into God for in this season? Or maybe it's been something that's been on your heart for a long time. Have you even been still enough to become aware of the goodness of God operating in your life? Are you seeing how he's connecting you to the right people? Are you seeing how he's developing your character and giving you tools and resources and new practices to be practicing every day so that you're strong for that place that he's preparing you for? Are you seeing how he's reinforcing the same messages over and over again to really encourage you and strengthen your spirit so that you have a backbone that's like steel? Are you seeing how he's preserving you and causing you to thrive and not just survive in this season? Are you seeing how he's managed to keep you sane and heal your heart and keep a right spirit in you as you navigate this time of transition, right? Like, where are you noticing that things are converging, coming together, uniting, meeting, joining in your life that seemed like they were not in place? For me, I usually think of this on a personal level first, and then I take it to, you know, every other area. Okay. So I think about identity, purpose, destiny, place of promise, right? And I think about how that's all coming together, right? And when it converges, what that means for me is that the messaging becomes clear, the reinforcement is so strong, the confidence is building, the security is building, where you're not going to wander and you're not going to waver because you get so fixed and focused. Where maybe you were like super general and broad, you start going like this when it converges, and then you run with everything that you've got, holding nothing back towards that thing that you know you've been called to or assigned to right now. But as you're watching things converge, it's really important to guard the transition well, right? Because you are where you are right now, and you're starting to see when you get crystal clear in your focus, right? When your focus is out here, it's really hard to see clearly because you can see all sorts of things, right? But when you start honing your vision, when you start preparing for where you're going, when things become crystal clear, when you write that vision and make it plain, and you get fixed and focused on your lane, potentially you can steward that well, but you've got to guard that position well as well. So if you're at A and you're going to B, right? We sometimes only get our next step. We get glimpses of that vision of where we're going, but we sometimes only get our next step. And it's these inspired actions that start closing the gap, right? So are you taking your inspired actions? Do you have radical obedience, right? Are you taking these steps? Are you clear, so clear in where you're going that if somebody challenges you, do you shift your position? Are you positioned, right? Are you willing to leave your place of comfort to build and to grow and to step into this place, even if that requires getting really uncomfortable and learning new things and putting your focus and attention on new things, or leaving what you thought was supposed to be your focus and shifting to what you know is your focus, right? Can you really build with everybody that's in your life right now? Maybe in part of the transition, God might be removing people in your life, right? Where in a former season, they might have been a character, a key player in that season. Maybe they're not anymore. So you've got to be open to that too, right? And then it's also, you can't share this with everybody. So how are you personally going to guard this transition? Are you going to keep your options open? Are you going to stay in your comfort zone because you like where you're at? Or are you going to lean in and develop this connection with God so that you can receive this revelation for yourself and start taking these steps? Because convergence is a great thing unless you're out of alignment. I hope you got that. Convergence is a great thing unless you're out of alignment, right? If all these things come together and you're not in the right position, if you're still struggling with old habits, if you're still not healed, if you still got this dysfunctional pattern operating in your life, if you're still hanging out with somebody who you know is no good for you, if you're still making excuses for why you're not moving forward, convergence is not good, right? Because it just exposes where you're at also. So here's a couple of things to pay attention to think on, to reflect on. One is your commitment. Are you committed to your source? And examine what that source is for you. For me, I had to get to a place where I knew that it was God unapologetically for me, where I wasn't going to go and try many sources because I'd seen those movies before. And none of those changed me in a really fundamental way. So for me, I've got to check my commitment to God. And this is a daily thing. How strong is that commitment? How connected am I? How tuned in am I? Right? Next would be, what is God redefining in you? Often when we're transitioning from one place to another, that's one of the reasons why we can't share things with everybody, because God is redefining things about us. And sometimes when you're being redefined, that's a vulnerable place where you don't have full confidence, or you don't quite know what that's supposed to look like or feel like, or what your next step is in any single moment. You might have a good idea of where you're headed, but there are those moments of vulnerability. So it's really important that people with the right hearts, again, are connected to you. So where is God redefining you? Is he giving you new perspective? Is he giving you tools? Is he connecting you to new people? Is he exposing you to new areas of influence? Where is he redefining you? Okay. And then how is he realigning you? That's the next one. How is he realigning you? And you find these things through commitment. God starts revealing these things to you, right? So how is your commitment to your source? For me, how is my commitment to God? That's something that I ask. Next is, how is God redefining you? And then how is God realigning you? Okay, so it's commitments, it's really character, and then it's mission. Okay, so when I look at this, or when I think about it, if I don't know this clearly, this is not a place of feeling bad in any kind of way. This is just curiosity. God, what are you redefining in me in this season? How can I partner with you strongly in that? God, how are you realigning me? How can I steward that well? How can I walk this out with excellence? I pray for wisdom. I pray for grace. I pray that you would help me to not give in to the distractions and the lesser things that are not for me in this season. Right? Help me to remain fixed and focused on your purposes and plans for me at this time. I don't want to miss my opportunities or my assignments, right? So that's something that you can pray about, even if you don't have clarity. But it's beautiful when you have a process of writing a ton of stuff down, because you can start seeing how God connects dots in your life. And it's really, really powerful, particularly if you are stewarding prophetic words and seeing how those are coming together. Okay, so in my own story, I know there's been a season where I was working full time at an organization where I was not valued, where I was not appreciated, where I was not promoted, where there was a lot of family dynamics, literally, and a lot of dysfunction that I was witnessing. And it was very, very uncomfortable. And in the beginning, it was almost like putting out fires, or really trying to manage relationship. And then as I got stronger, as God was developing my spiritual muscle, I started to just focus on doing excellent work and not so much how other people are showing up. And it made all the difference. But then the other thing, because I was leaning into God, I also knew that that wasn't going to be my place of promise necessarily. There was going to be a lot of learning, a lot of developing, a lot of strengthening happening from that pressure. But there was other areas that God kept developing. He kept developing me in a ministry school at that time. I wrote 3 books in that time. He put me in a mentoring assignment where I'm pouring out encouragement and life into people, which is actually kind of refilling my cup. And he was exposing me to new tools and resources to build for what's next. So this discomfort, I could have stayed there and whined and complained and made excuses and let that straight up block me. But connecting with God and seeing what he's doing, right? Trust me, essentially, right? Trust me, I'm working on something for you, and partner with me and do these other things, which is going to require more of you, right? Because it's almost like spiritual boot camp, right? Getting beat up every day, but not letting it get to you, right? And still showing up with excellence, right? Huge assignment. It's not easy to do that. Sometimes, especially in this world, we want to clap back, or we're in like a cancel culture. So it's like, fine then, bye, right? But if you're on assignment, you don't show up the same kind of way. And who knows if I wasn't there just to be ministering undercover in a sense, right? So interesting. But when you're connected to God, you can stand in a different way. You can fight with spiritual weapons and not in the natural. Huge, right? And you can only learn that experientially. So as this is developing, I'm getting stronger. I'm going through ministry school, getting tools to show up in this environment. And I'm also developing my gifts and practicing them every day, and starting to really see how years of development, undergraduate degree, graduate degree, coaching certifications, just different things are coming together to merge and to form the thing that was next for me. So I could see that was a convergence that was happening. So there's this flow happening here. There's this flow happening here. There's this flow happening over here. There's the flow of everything behind you that you've gone through, and they're all coming together to really step in and be able to minister this place of promise that I have for you, right? But here's the thing. Why is this important? Because I could easily have got caught up in any one of those things. I could have gotten caught up in this job and what's happening in the natural, right? I could have gotten caught up in ministry school and how, that's not my background per se, right? Or I could have gotten caught up in training and how I'm giving away so much for free, right? That I'm trained in. When that's part of the key, you give away a lot of value for free, right? You just do that. And then there's tons of education and things backing me where I could just be in this place like, I don't understand. Like, why have I been fighting so hard? And I don't see how any of this comes together. What I can encourage you with today is that there is a time and a season where that does all come together. But you've got to show up faithfully and steward well everything that God has given you, and be okay not having all the answers. Sometimes it's not a season where he's going to reveal all the answers. Sometimes it's just a season of obedience. But when convergence comes, my goodness, you definitely want to check out your commitment. You want to be asking God where he's redefining you and realigning you, and really developing the spiritual muscle in you. And then guarding that transition well is going to be key, right? So as you see things come together, you've got to guard the transition to merging into that thing well, okay? So sometimes that requires just a simple reorganizing of your life. Sometimes, like going to the chiropractor, it's just one adjustment that shifts the whole process, vehicle, whatever, right? So keep that in mind as well. But I just want to encourage you in this time, in this season, when you hear this word, how are you seeing the goodness of God operating in your life right now? What is coming together? How is God bringing things together? How is your commitment? How is he redefining you? How is he realigning you? And what are you going to do to guard this transition? Okay. And to really develop the spiritual muscle, whatever it is that you still need to develop to really, really be ready for launch, right? You might feel a sense of urgency of this next thing. And sometimes we get caught up just in what is the next thing, when it's really, How are you positioned and what is your next step? Okay, because you take the sucker one day at a time. Okay? So I hope this message blessed you. I cannot tell you how exciting it is to see how God brings things together. And you can really do that in relationship. It's in a relationship where you build authority and where you receive these downloads of revelation for yourself and where you can really see how God is moving and what God's rhythm is right now for you and how he's speaking to you specifically. So I encourage you, if you don't have a practice with God, to develop one in some kind of way. Spend time with God every day. Make that a practice. Straight up. When God is at the center of your life, somehow everything else starts to align, right? That's biblical. Seek the kingdom first, and all these other things will be added unto you. Okay. But we usually get that out of alignment. So if you're wanting alignment, flip the script. That's my encouragement. So I hope this message blessed you. There are some really great tools if you are wanting to level up your devotional time with God, if you are wanting to reclaim your spiritual authority or really learn how to co-labor with God. Maybe you've tried things the world's way and you realized that it doesn't work the way you've anticipated and you're tired of watching that movie. There's a lot of great books and tools really that you can apply to your life. So go check those out. There is also a course over there, and I have really, really leaned in to create coaching bundles that are relevant and that are suitable to fit paychecks at this time. So go check out coaching if that is something where you really need somebody to help brainstorm these things and pray with you and work these things out with you. That's a lot of really great resources over there to go check out. So julianapage.com. If you haven't listened to the Spirit-Filled Real Talk podcast with myself, make sure that you tune in every Saturday. It's on the Apple iTunes app, and then also on Spotify. I believe it's on Amazon as well. So subscribe so you can really get those new episodes every week. And for daily vibes and following up with me, you can follow me over on Miss Juliana Page on IG. All right, guys, until next